Explore the timeless wisdom and inspiration found within the Bible. Picture this: you're standing on the edge of a vast, beautiful ocean. The sun is just beginning to rise, painting the waves with streaks of gold. You feel the crisp air against your face, and there's a sense of something much greater than yourself. In that moment, you wonder, what if there's a guide? A map that could help you navigate life's challenges and uncertainties, offering peace, clarity, and purpose? What if it has been there all along, waiting for you to discover its treasures? The Bible isn't just an ancient book, it's a masterpiece of timeless wisdom and boundless inspiration. Today, we're going to dive deep into its depths, exploring its teachings and uncovering practical lessons for our modern lives. Together, we'll journey through stories of love, resilience, and transformation. Along the way, you might find yourself asking questions that could reshape your entire perspective on life. Let's begin with this: have you ever felt overwhelmed by life's chaos, searching for a sense of direction or meaning? The Bible opens with a story of creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What's remarkable is the sense of order brought to what was once formless and void. This is a pattern that echoes through life. Chaos can be transformed into beauty when guided by wisdom and intention. Think about your own life. Where do you see chaos? What would it take to bring order, purpose, and peace to those areas? The teachings of Christ, central to the Bible, shine a light on this transformation. Take the Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount: "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." At first glance, these words might seem counterintuitive. In a world that rewards power and ambition, why would meekness and purity be celebrated? But think about it: how often do power and ambition lead to emptiness or conflict? Christ's teachings challenge us to redefine strength, to see it not as domination but as humility and love. Have you ever wondered what it means to truly love? Not the fleeting, conditional love we often encounter, but a love so profound it can change everything? The Bible describes this in 1 Corinthians 13, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud." Now imagine applying this kind of love in your daily interactions. How would it transform your relationships? One of the most profound moments in the Bible is the story of the Good Samaritan. A man is beaten, robbed, and left for dead. Several people pass by, unwilling to help. But then, a Samaritan, a person often despised in that cultural context, stops, tends to the man's wounds, and ensures his safety. This story is a powerful call to action. Compassion knows no boundaries. When was the last time you acted with pure compassion, without expecting anything in return? Let's shift to a modern example. Picture a single mother juggling 2 jobs to provide for her children. Despite her struggles, she always finds time to help others in her community. She lives out the principle of service. One of Christ's most profound teachings: whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. As we explore these timeless lessons, it's impossible not to confront some deep, challenging questions. What holds you back from forgiving someone who hurt you deeply? Forgiveness is one of the Bible's most transformative principles. Yet it's often the hardest to embrace. Christ's words, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," spoken as he endured the cross, challenge us to rise above pain and bitterness. Pause for a moment. Think about someone who has wronged you. What would happen if you chose forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself? What weight would be lifted? The Bible also speaks of hope, a light in the darkest times. Consider the story of Job, a man who lost everything but refused to abandon his faith. His resilience reminds us that even in suffering, there is the possibility of renewal and redemption. Have you ever faced a moment when hope seemed distant? How did you find the strength to keep going? And then there's faith, the cornerstone of the Bible's teachings. Faith is not just belief, it's action, trust, and surrender. Hebrews 11 verse 1 describes it as the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Faith isn't about having all the answers, it's about embracing uncertainty with courage. Imagine standing at a crossroads in your life. The path ahead is unclear, and fear threatens to paralyze you. Faith asks you to take that first step, trusting that the way will become clear. Have you ever taken such a step? If not, what's holding you back? This journey through the Bible is more than an intellectual exercise, it's an invitation to transformation. Its stories, teachings, and principles resonate because they speak to the core of our humanity. They challenge us to love more deeply, forgive more freely, and live with purpose and courage. But the most profound question of all might be this: if the wisdom of the Bible could transform your life, would you let it? Unraveling the mysteries, the transformative power of faith and redemption. Faith and redemption are two of the most profound themes woven throughout the Bible. Yet they are also two of the most challenging to fully grasp. Let's take a closer look. Starting with a question that can shake the very foundation of our understanding: what does it mean to truly believe in something greater than yourself? Faith, at its core, is about trust. It's the courage to step forward even when the path is uncertain, guided by a belief that there is a greater purpose at play. In the Bible, we find countless stories of faith that inspire and challenge us. Abraham, for instance, was called to leave everything familiar and journey to an unknown land, trusting only in God's promise. Imagine yourself in Abraham's position. Would you have the courage to take such a leap of faith? Faith isn't just about monumental acts. It's also about the quiet moments when we choose to believe in goodness, even when surrounded by darkness. Consider the story of the widow who offered her last 2 coins at the temple. Her act of giving, despite her poverty, speaks volumes about the power of faith. It's a reminder that faith is not about the magnitude of what we have, but the sincerity of our trust. And yet, faith is often tested in the crucible of life's hardships. When storms arise, it's easy to feel abandoned, to question whether our faith is worth holding on to. But it's in these moments that faith becomes transformative. Recall the story of Peter walking on water. As long as he kept his eyes on Christ, he defied the impossible. But the moment he let fear distract him, he began to sink. Isn't life like that? When we focus on fear and doubt, we lose our way. But when we anchor ourselves in faith, we can navigate even the roughest waters. Let's bring this into our modern lives. Have you ever faced a situation where everything seemed to fall apart? A relationship, a career, a dream? In those moments, did you cling to faith? Or did you let despair take over? The Bible doesn't promise a life without storms, but it does promise that we won't face them alone. Redemption is the other side of this coin, a powerful force that brings hope and healing. The story of the Prodigal Son is perhaps the most vivid example of redemption in action. After squandering his inheritance and reaching the lowest point of his life, the son decides to return home, expecting rejection. Instead, he is met with open arms and unconditional love. This story teaches us that redemption isn't about erasing our mistakes, it's about transforming them into stepping stones for growth. But redemption is not only a personal journey, it's also something we can extend to others. Have you ever forgiven someone who didn't deserve it? Not because they earned it, but because you chose to? In doing so, you became part of their redemption story. Think about that for a moment. What would our world look like if we embraced this kind of grace and forgiveness? In a society that often prioritizes success over character, the Bible offers a countercultural perspective. True greatness is found in humility and service. Christ's washing of his disciples' feet is a profound example. Despite being their teacher and leader, he humbled himself to serve. How often do we let pride stand in the way of serving others? What might change if we led with humility instead of ego? The power of redemption also extends to how we view ourselves. Too often, we are our own harshest critics, carrying guilt and shame that weigh us down. The Bible reminds us that redemption is not about being perfect, it's about being willing to change. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow, says Isaiah 1 verse 18. This is an invitation to let go of the past and step into a new beginning. Pause for a moment and reflect. What burdens are you carrying that you need to let go of? What would it feel like to embrace redemption? To truly believe that you are worthy of a fresh start? Faith and redemption are not abstract concepts, they are active forces that shape how we live and interact with the world. They challenge us to rise above fear, to love despite pain, and to forgive even when it feels impossible. They remind us that our greatest battles are not with others but within ourselves. Perhaps the most profound question we can ask is this: if faith and redemption can transform everything, why do we resist them? The eternal dance, love, purpose, and the legacy of Christ's teachings. Love is the heartbeat of the Bible. It's not a fleeting feeling or a conditional exchange, but an enduring force that defines the very essence of our existence. God is love, the Bible proclaims. And Christ's life and teachings embody this truth in the most profound ways. But what does it mean to live a life defined by love? Let's start with a question. When was the last time you loved someone without expecting anything in return? Not for what they could do for you. Not because they loved you first, but simply because love is who you are. Christ's love was radical. It crossed boundaries, broke barriers, and defied societal norms. He touched lepers when others avoided them. He dined with sinners when others judged them. He forgave his enemies when others would have sought revenge. His love wasn't safe or convenient, it was transformative. And it challenges us to examine our own hearts. How often do we choose comfort over compassion? Safety over sacrifice? Love, as Christ teaches, is not passive. It's active, intentional, and courageous. It's the kind of love that compels you to stand up for justice, even when it's unpopular. The kind that drives you to help a stranger in need, even when it's inconvenient. The kind that sees the humanity in someone who has wronged you, and chooses forgiveness over bitterness. Think about your purpose in life. Is it aligned with this kind of love? So many of us chase success, wealth, or recognition, only to find that these pursuits leave us feeling empty. The Bible reminds us that our true purpose is found not in what we achieve, but in how we love. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Purpose isn't always about grand gestures or monumental achievements. Sometimes, it's found in the small, everyday acts of kindness that ripple outward to create a better world. Holding the door for someone, listening with empathy, offering a word of encouragement. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, are reflections of a love that transforms lives. But love isn't just about what we give, it's also about how we receive. Have you ever felt truly seen and loved for who you are? Flaws and all? Christ's love offers that to each of us. It's a love that says, "You are enough. Just as you are." Imagine what it would feel like to fully accept that love. To let it wash away your fears and insecurities. The legacy of Christ's teachings extends far beyond love. They offer a blueprint for a life of meaning and fulfillment. One of the most profound aspects of his legacy is the call to serve. The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Christ said. This flips the script on how we often view success. True greatness, according to Christ, is found in humility and service. Consider this: what would happen if we measured success not by what we gained, but by what we gave? Another cornerstone of Christ's teachings is hope, a hope that transcends circumstances. The resurrection story is the ultimate symbol of this hope. It tells us that even in the face of death and despair, renewal is possible. Think about the darkest moments in your life. Did you cling to hope? Or did you let despair take over? What would change if you believed that no matter how bleak things seem, there is always the possibility of a new beginning? Christ's legacy also includes the call to unity. In a world divided by race, religion, politics, and countless other lines, his prayer was for us to be one. Love one another as I have loved you, he said. This isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a practical solution to many of the conflicts we face. What would our world look like if we truly loved our neighbors as ourselves? Let's end with this: the teachings of Christ are not relics of the past, they are a living legacy. They invite us to participate in an eternal dance of love, purpose, and hope. But they also challenge us to ask the hard questions. Are we living in alignment with these teachings? Are we leaving a legacy of love and service for those who come after us? And perhaps the most profound question of all, if you embraced the wisdom and inspiration found within the Bible, how would it transform your life? The journey doesn't end here. The teachings of Christ are an endless well of wisdom, waiting to be explored. Will you take the next step?